Hello everyone and welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm glad you're here. I know it may look like it, but I promise, I'm not drawing a slice of pizza. After recently seeing the new shark exhibit at the Natural History Museum, I decided I wanted to make myself a Megalodon tooth. My plan was to use oven bake polymer clay, but I didn't want it to be just solid clay, so I made some wedge-shaped pieces of cardboard to stack together to bulk things up. Once I felt like I had enough layers, then I wrapped everything in aluminum foil. After bulking it out a little bit with some aluminum foil, I decided that the root part of the tooth needed to be a little bit bulkier, so I added some more cardboard to it. Once I was happy with the aluminum foil, then I used some baking adhesive for the polymer clay to help it stick to the foil after it was baked for the first layer. After the first layer was baked, I checked it over to make sure that it was good and no serious crack problems. Then it was time to add some more layers of clay to start shaping things more of the tooth shape. After deciding that the tooth was still a little too flat, I started bulking it out differently to give it some more roundness. Here I'm using an old paintbrush handle to roll things out. After it's rolled out sufficiently, then I use the little spoon tool to help blend the edges more seamlessly. Here I decided that the piece was not quite big enough and really didn't need to be that thick. So I went back through my clay rolling machine multiple times to make it bigger and thinner. Once I had the piece big enough, it was time to smooth it out and blend that one in too. Once that part of the tooth was done, I decided that the root part still needed a little bit more bulk, so I added another piece of aluminum foil with some more baking adhesive. Covered that piece of foil with some more baking adhesive and then put a piece of clay over top of that. And a little bit of spoon tool work to blend everything in again. Once that part was done, then it was time to add some texture to the root section of the tooth. I just take a small piece of aluminum foil and keep rolling it back and forth over top of the clay to add the texture. Here I split a small piece of clay to use for each side of the serrated part of the tooth. I stuck the thin strips to the sides and then I gently blended them in, and then I rolled up some pieces really small to put behind the edge to help push it out just a little bit. Once I had the edges to the point where I wanted them, then I used my palette knife to make tiny slits into the edge to give that serrated tooth look. Once all of that was done, then it was time to use some clay softener to smooth out the tooth part and try to eliminate all of my fingerprints that I was leaving in the clay. And with that part done, it was time for the final bake. After the final bake was done, then I primed the tooth part with white and the root part with black. Once that priming layer was dry, then I just started dabbing on some brown and white, mixing it together and just splotching it all together to just make it mishmash and try and darken it up for a tooth root. And then I added a little bit of black where the tooth meets the root. And then it was time for the tooth, and I did a tan with streaks of darker brown in it, making straight lines as best as I could from the root to the tip. Here I add some of the black to my little scoop cup, and I go add some water to it to water it down for the serrated tooth edges. Being watered down, it just goes straight into the serrated edges of the cuts that I made in the clay. Thank you for your time of watching the video, and I'll see you in the next video.